Oh, interesting. So the math you're doing is you're literally adding up the values in those three columns, and that is the seasonality adjustment that you set.
Exactly. Because we've seen before that just adding the change to conversion rate is not enough.
That's brilliant. I love it when you share formulas. This is not just hypothetical. This is the actual math, people. So column A plus B plus C equals your seasonality bid adjustment. So you've tested this, right? Let's talk a little bit about what kind of results you see from this. Hello, and welcome to another Automation Layering Masterclass. My name is Fred Valles. I'm your host. I'm also the CEO and co-founder at Optmyzr. Today we have Jeppe from Web2Media who's joining us, and he's going to talk about what happens to target return on ad spend automated bidding when you have a seasonal event like a sale. Now, if you set a ROAS target and your conversion rate changes on the back end in a very drastic and sudden way, what happens to performance? What do you want to happen to performance? And that's where we got an expert to come and tell us what he saw and how he's dealing with it. So let's bring in Jeppe. Jeppe, welcome to the show. Thanks for sharing with us today.
Thank you very much, and thank you for hosting me here.
Yeah. Hey, so tell people a little bit about yourself, who you are, who Web2Media is, where you're calling us from today.
Yeah, sure. My name is Jeppe Houbak. I am working here at Web2Media as a senior Google Ads manager with a little more than 4 years of experience. I've been working here with the same clients during most of my time, so just a few changes to client portfolio, which is really nice because then I get to get closer to their business. Actually, we like to value our clients more like partners and see ourselves as part of their marketing department rather than a supplier.
Nice. And where are your clients mostly based? You are in Denmark, right?
Yes, we're in Denmark, yeah, and we have offices in Aarhus and Copenhagen. Most of our clients are also Danish based, and then we have a few clients that are mainly working from outside Denmark, but with but doing business in Denmark as well. And then quite a few of our clients have an international focus too.
Nice.
We are about 80 employees, and we are a full funnel marketing agency. So Google Ads is just part of our service.
Great. So yeah, if people want to reach out to Web2Media or you, we'll put the contact information on the slides. But let's jump into the topic here. So we were looking at seasonal events, right? And so you guys are working with companies that have sales periodically. What happens to automated bidding during those periods? So let's load up. I don't know if you have some slides you brought, so let's take a look at those.
Yeah. Okay, so when we have these seasonal events coming up and we use the seasonality bid adjustment, I think there are two main approaches that need to be considered. And the one on the left is the one that I'd suggest most clients would like, is to maximize the revenue during these seasonal events. So that's where we have the same target ROAS than on the normal days. We would like to see an increase in revenue and also an increase in market share. We are aware that it might affect our profit margins a bit, but it can still increase the total profit after all.
Right, and that makes sense, right? So because you probably during most of the year, your target return on ad spend is based on an assumption of your margin for your product. And between those two factors, that determines the profitability of every click and every conversion. But during a sales event, your margin is lower because you're selling the product at a discount.
Exactly.
If you keep
Yeah.
your target ROAS the same, then you have less profit. But because the price is so good, you're going to get more sales and more revenue.
Yeah,
So that's
exactly. That's the idea behind it. I mean, you can still try to keep your profit margins at a certain level, but then you would need to increase your ROAS targets during the promotional event, and you would lose out on traffic and the potential revenue that is out there.
and that's what you're showing on the right side is that
Yeah,
if you
correct.
keep your profit margin, then you're still going to be profitable, but you're not going to get that big lift in revenue. and potentially getting a whole bunch of new customers who maybe have never bought from you before. And new customers obviously super valuable, right? Because then you can put them on the email list. And in a full stack marketing agency, then there's so many other things you can start doing with those people.
Exactly. And because we mostly work with very ambitious clients, then we normally see that the left strategy is the preferred one.
Cool. Okay, so let's go get more revenue when we have these sales events. So what do we do? How do we get? Do we just lower the price, or is there something else we should be doing?
We would normally use the seasonality adjustment, but just before jumping into that, um, this is what I would say we'd like to happen, right? That we stay at the same target ROAS, but we see a spike in the revenue during these 2 days of our promotional event. This is what we'd like to happen, right? That during the promotional events, during these 2 days of a sales period, we'd like to see that our target ROAS stays at the same, and that we see a spike in revenue, right?
Yeah, that's the ideal. Some nice lifts in revenue there. So that's what we'd like to see.
Yeah, exactly. But what might actually happen is this one, if we don't take care, that because the algorithm might be a little bit delayed to learn these new levels of conversion rates, then we would see still an increase in revenue, but also an increase in ROAS. And then the days after, the algorithm again doesn't really catch up, so it will um, try to get too much traffic with a lower target ROAS before it ramps back up to the normal level. But this is not really ideal.
Yeah, so basically what you're saying there is that the algorithm from Google, the automated bidding, it's going to notice that something unusual is happening during that sale. The conversion rate's going up, maybe the orders are changing, and so it starts to change its bids. But then by the time it actually does that, your sale has ended. So now it's chasing something that doesn't exist anymore. And so that's the problem and what you're illustrating here, right? Is
Yeah,
that
exactly. That's the point.
yeah.
And that's
Okay,
why
so we do not want that to happen.
we've been blessed with the seasonality bid adjustment tool from Google side. That's like really good to use when you can predict these changes to the conversion rate beforehand. And we try to make a system to predict these increase in conversion rate based on previous promotions. So it could look like this, where we have a 20% discount on a Saturday only for the outlet products. We have a Halloween sale coming up in the end of October, and then of course the Singles Day on the 11th of November. So during these sales, we see that the conversion rate might increase, and this is based on previous sales periods as well. But so we could just add this to our seasonality adjustment, right? That's the idea from the Google side.
So right there, you're showing the change to conversion rate. Would you just straight up take that change to conversion rate as the seasonality adjustment? Is that what you're saying?
No, not exactly. But I think that's the idea that's the only option we have in the seasonality tool. We can only tell a predicted conversion rate, but there's more to it, I think. I think we can also add the predicted change to average order value or basket size,
Hmm.
because at the end, the total conversion rate or the total conversion value is made of the amount of conversions we get and the average order value. And when there's an increase in the order value, then it also affects our ROAS.
All right. So during a seasonal event, we have a change in expected conversion rate, but you're saying there's also a change in the average basket value. And ultimately, all of these things play together, and we might have a difference in ROAS performance. Let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah. So uh, also, if you during the previous period are seeing a lower ROAS than your target, then it's important to take this into consideration as well, because otherwise we might just hit a lower ROAS than our target during the sales as well.
Okay, so you have these three factors that are impacting your performance. And now the goal is to have a seasonality bid adjustment that takes all three factors into account and gets you to that point where you said, let's get more revenue, more sales, but let's keep everything else roughly the same. So what might that look like?
Exactly. And it looks like this. So it's change to conversion rate plus change to average order value plus change in ROAS that then gives us the total seasonality adjustment here.
Oh, interesting. So the math you're doing is you're literally adding up the values in those three columns, and that is the seasonality adjustment that you set.
Exactly. Because we've seen before that just adding the change to conversion rate is not enough.
That's brilliant. I love it when you share formulas. This is not just hypothetical. This is the actual math, people. So column A plus B plus C equals your seasonality bid adjustment. So you've tested this, right? Like, let's talk a little bit about what kind of results you see from this.
Yeah, we've tested it, and for this client, for example, we see quite significant how much more impressions and traffic we are able to get during these 2 3 days of sales period, and also we see that the clicks increase even more than the impressions, meaning an increase in CTR as well.
Nice. So with these seasonality bid adjustments and these better prices, you're getting a tremendous increase in interest and activity. And then what happens to the sales?
Yeah, it goes up with the clicks, luckily, meaning that at the end of the day, we are quite close to reach our actual ROAS targets every single day, no matter if we are having a normal day or a special sales day event.
Nice. Okay, so what you were worried about in the beginning, the TROAS algorithm chasing and not being able to hit the target, it seems like you've counteracted that.
Yeah, exactly. So if we go back to this slide about what we might actually seen and be scared about seeing, then I'm quite happy with the results we're seeing in order to achieve our goal. And just to repeat the goal, it is to maximize the revenue within this target ROAS here.
Nice. Well, Jeppe and Web2Media, obviously amazing work on that, and thank you for sharing it. Let's talk a little bit about Optmyzr. I know you use Optmyzr. How does that fit into some of the things you do?
Um, in general, we are really, really happy with the tool. First of all, I showed you just just this one before. Um, I think it will come up to the screen in a bit. This one here, in order to see when we see a change to the conversion value, when you see a change to the traffic, what is actually the reasons behind this, like this course analysis. And it's so good to use to explain why do we see what we see.
That's right. The PPC Investigator, a really nice visualization to help understand what's moving the needle in an account. Okay, great. Love it. And then you can also, of course, use that tool historically. So I think one of the questions then that people might have is, well, how do I figure out what is A, B, and C in the formula that we need to use? So what is my change in average order value? Um, tool like Optmyzr obviously makes that really easy to go back in time, but also to start to understand during that period when we saw a change, what was the main driver of that change, and making sure that it was actually the seasonality event and not something else happening.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. Well, good. Any final thoughts on doing this?
I think the final thought might be that even though Google says that they do take like these upcoming seasonal events into consideration, like Black Friday, um, then I would still use this one based on historical data, see what happens. Then, of course, be very cautious during the day what actually happens. I think it's really, really nice tool because you see the effect immediately when you add a seasonality adjustment to the account. And finally, I would not do this if the sale is going on for more than 3 days, I'd say. Then the algorithm might ramp up, but then you can use it the other way around as well. If there's a sudden decrease in the conversion rate, to add a negative adjustment.
That makes sense. Great. Hey, well, thank you so much, Jeppe, for sharing everything you do with seasonality bid adjustments and how you deal with seasonal events and ROAS. I think this has been very helpful. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you want to see more of these, please subscribe on YouTube. We have Automation Layering Masterclasses coming out all the time with other great experts. But if you wanted to get a hold of Jeppe and Web2Media, we got links right there at the bottom of the screen. Yeah, but how should people get a hold of you? You're on LinkedIn, right?
Yes, I'm on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Okay, Jeppe Houbak. So thank you again. Thanks for
Yeah.
watching, and we'll see
Thank
you
you very
next time.
much. Thank you.